focus on taking a head from previous tutorials and bringing it into the third dimension using Freeform Pro. So the first thing I've done here is I've enabled the 3D switches on all of the layers involved in this character's face. And then I'm going to select the layer I want to apply the Freeform effect to. Let's turn on Freeform Pro. Now you're going to get this little warning message. The reason you get this is Freeform Pro creates its own 3D effect, and you don't need to have 3D on 3D. If I turn 3D off, it still reacts to my camera just like it did before. This is what we want. So turn off 3D on anything you want to use a 3D filter in After Effects. Is you have to disable the 3D here, just like particular. If you use particular and you try to put it onto a 3D layer, it won't work. So the next step here is to change the grid. So let's go to the grid here. I want enough that I can curve the head and leave this area here relatively flat. So I'm going to do 4 rows, and I believe I'm going to try 4 columns. You can always do more or less, but the great thing about Freeform is it's really, really easy to manipulate the points. It's probably one of the easiest 3D applications of a plugin I've ever used. So all I have to do is click on, I'm shift clicking along these points here, and I'm going to go to expand editing controls, and right now manipulation is set to X, Y, Z. So if I pull a point around, they move all different directions. I don't want to do that. I want them just to go push them back into the Z plane. So I want to add a depth curve to this. I don't want to distort his face vertically. So I just enable Z only manipulation, and if I drag up, it pushes that, drag over, it pushes that face in and out. Now, if you shift click all these, you have to hold shift down before you start pushing the selection back. If you don't, you'll lose the selection. So I'm going to pull this back quite a ways. And remember, move your camera around. So as you can see, I'm getting some actual 3D in After Effects. Pretty awesome. Okay, so let's turn this off for a sec. So as you can see, I'm starting to get some great dimension happening. Already this is way better than what we're given by default with After Effects. Alright, let's do a couple more. Move my camera here. Press V to get my selection tool, point selection tool again. I'm going to select here all these vertices along here and here. It's really simple. And again, just make sure my manipulation is Z only. Now, there's something weird happening here. You see how you're getting this ripply thing, which may be desirable in some circumstances, but not this particular face. It's because these handles are creating a straight parallel line. We want that line to actually follow the curve. You could go through and manually rotate those, but there's really no need. In Freeform Pro, all you have to do is go to Auto Tangents and enable Auto Tangents. And that will line the tangents up to the curve, almost like a continuous Bezier curve. Okay, so now I'm starting to get this really decent curve already, better than I've ever had before. Could have used this years ago. Okay, next step. Now I want to create the upper curve of the scalp, or the skull. So actually, I'm only going to take these 3 here. Shift, hold, and push it in. There we go. Let's have a look at what that looks like. That's all right. Okay, starting to get some good curve there. Could probably let's bring this one in a little bit. I'm just pressing C to pull up my camera and V to get my pointer tool. So C, you can rotate the camera, V, pointer. Hold Shift, push this in a bit. So let's get a nice curve. You got to move your camera around the character a little bit to just make sure you're getting your curves decent. They don't have to be perfect, obviously, but it's nice to get a good handle on them. This one I'm going to push in just a little bit further. V and push. There we go. Camera, rotate that around. Okay, looking good so far. Okay, so the next area, let's do down here. Pull these points in. And select V and Shift and pull those in. See, camera, looking good. Awesome. It's coming along. It's coming along already. It's fast, really fast. shift. Let's do more of that. There we go. And I might actually, with this chin, I'm going to select this. And now what I can do is if I want to manipulate this specific handle here, I can just turn off auto tangent. I'm not going to lose all the tangents it's done, but now I can actually pull that out just like that. So that gives me a little bit less of a curve on that chin. See, let's get this area out, coming out a little bit. So the nose, this whole area here should be a little more forward. Okay, it's pretty decent. Probably, in reality, his forehead should not be so sloping. So I'm going to grab this one, and this one. Whoops. And I'm going to pull it out further. So let's go profile here. I may have to add more control points if I really want to refine this. If I want to really clarify that forehead. So let's see, maybe I can add, let's add 5. And it's nicely, it's trying to maintain the shape, which is actually really works nicely. Okay, so I want to get that profile a little bit better. So, and I think I want to pull these edges back even further. This one, these guys here. So I'm going to select all these. I like to, if I'm adding more vertices to the grid, I like to do that after I've gotten the general shape. Otherwise, you can start getting a lot of points to select. It does slow the processing down ever so slightly to have more faces selected. Okay, it's camera, turn this sideways. See how far we can get this without it making it look hideous. It doesn't matter if there's a bit of distortion. We're really not ever going to get to this extreme of the side. Probably be more like that, where it looks great. The only thing I'm not loving is this. Such a severe area here. So almost looks like his face is angled like a little wood elf or something. I want to bring this area to be flatter. This is the flat plane of the face. So let's bring this out a bit more. So I'm not loving how aggressive that is. So let's flatten that out. Cool. Already we have a pretty decently shaped face. Could have used a little adjustment here. Maybe this guy should come down a bit. This guy can come up. Go. Okay. And the nose. Now the nose I'm going to treat a little differently because the nose is such a specific spot. I could never really, unless I had a really high mesh, I could never really get it to do exactly what I needed without having tons of geometry. And that's not a place I want to go. I'd rather just have as little geometry as possible and then use a thing called displacement maps to actually do the rest of the work for me. So let's just get this. Okay, kind of looks like a bit of an alien, but that's alright. Always add more to the mesh if we really want. However, I'm not certain that it's necessary. I think that looks really good. Okay, in the next section we're going to look at creating a simple displacement map in Photoshop for this character and implementing it in After Effects to add some finer details to this character's new 3D face.